Hello all, welcome to oratrainings.com. In this session, we'll discuss about how do we perform customer import in Oracle Fusion ERP. Let's see the outline. So we'll try to discuss about the different set of approaches which we have for customer import in Fusion. And in our session today, we'll concentrate on one of the approach called Simplified SpreadSheet approach. And we'll try to understand how do we upload and how do we purge it and how do we correct it. And also we'll discuss about the table details, like when you are getting a kind of error or when you want to get a reconciliation information or when you want to find out what is the status of a particular record in the interface table, right? So to debug any errors, we need to have information about the interface or error tables. Okay, we'll discuss about those table details also. Now, so there are two approaches which are available considering the FBDI approaches. Okay, so one approach, the first approach is called upload customers from spreadsheet, and it is a Excel file or XLSM file which has only 4 sheets. And another one, it is called a bulk import, and it is also a FBDI based approach, which has 19 sheets, which is a very detailed one. And out of these approaches, like which one is the best or which one we have to consider, it all depends upon the requirement. So we'll not discuss about those particular differentiations as of now. Our concentration is on the first approach. We'll just try to understand what is there in the first approach and the sheet details, and we'll try to just work on a simple one of the sample, and let's see how it goes. Okay. So now, how do we get the sample, right? Like generally, most of the FBDIs generally can get from the Oracle documentation, but for the simplified approach, you cannot get the sample from the Oracle documentation. You have to get from the Fusion instance only. So to get the sample FBDI, what we have to do is we have to navigate to receivables, billing, and check the customer task list. And there you have to click on upload customers from spreadsheet. And the below page will be shown. And here you have two buttons. The first one is download customer spreadsheet template. Other one is upload customers from spreadsheet. So click on the first button, which downloads an FBDI file. Okay. And using that file, we just need to fill up the data and then perform the import. Okay. So now coming next slide. If at all, if you want to upload, you just need to mention the batch name and you have to mention the zip file, which we get from the FBDI sample. Okay. Now, so what are the detailed steps involved in performing import, right? So first thing is we have to get the sample template from the Oracle Fusion instance, fill the required data in the provided template, and then you have to like upload the zip file. And then the very important part is just uploading doesn't mean that everything's successful, right? So we have to validate whether are we getting any errors? Is it everything successful? We have to check them in a detailed fashion carefully to understand whether the insertion is really successful or not, right? And then check it from the base table, check it from the UI, or check it from the technical way, like in the interface table, base table, error table, and also try to perform the reconciliation. Nothing but what you intend to upload is what is inserted. I mean to say, like just try to compare your source data file with your target Fusion data, so that like we can map from apple to apple kind of thing. And generally, a single record in this particular sample will get insert, if at all, if it is successfully inserted, it'll get inserted into the below set of entities, like a party side uses, account side uses, location, and also profiles as well as receipt methods. The profiles and receipt method will get inserted at the account level. If at all, if you want to have it inserted at the site level, then you have to use the bulk import FBDI sample. So there are a couple of deviations or a couple of requirements may not be met using this simplified approach, but like what we generally do is in some of the complex projects, like they'll try to perform the required basic functionality using this particular file. Wherever they require additional information, they generally go for the bulk insertion. Okay, so we'll consider those kind of things in the next other coming session. But for now, let's concentrate on this particular one, right? So now what I'll do is I'll just navigate to the instance and let's try to understand what I've been discussing, right? So first thing is, how do we get the sample FBDI? You have to navigate to the Fusion instance, click on receivable task, receivable application, click on billing, and here it shows the list of task list. Click on the task list. And now here, the first one is transaction, which is for the purpose of AR invoices. Now our concentration, the customer, you have to click on this one, upload customers from spreadsheet. And other important one is manage data import. Okay, so let's click on this third one, upload customers from spreadsheet. And you can click on search to see the list of existing batches which are already completed or which are errored out, which are in progress kind of thing. So if you observe the green color, right, these are which are completed successfully. And the other one, which is a yellow color, it says like some set of partial data is successful or failure kind of thing. Now click on this download customer spreadsheet template. Once you click on this, it will download an XLSM file, which has a sample data also. If at all, if you want to understand how the data looks like, you can just check this one. And now in my case, I already downloaded it. Okay. So let me open the one which I have already downloaded. Okay. And here, if you observe, the first sheet is instruction sheet, which has the list of very detailed information like how it works, what are the interface table, what are the ESS job details, how do you correct it, how do you purge it. Good amount of information you'll have find in this one. Okay. Now click on the customer sheet. So this is a very important one, which is of like our main topic today. So this sheet has all the information which you want to fill it up for a customer. So for a customer, what all you have it like the first one starts with a party, or we can call it as organization. And one more important thing is using this particular spreadsheet, you can create a party type of organization only. You cannot create a party type of person. So now, like the first one is a party information, nothing but customer information, I can say. Next one is account information. Next one is account site information, location information. And these are the major four information, like a four set of like entity data you'll provide here. Okay. And of course, you have a detail like a DFF information, which you can mention only at the account level, right? So before proceeding to fill up this one, what we do is let us understand from the UI point of view, like what are the major important fields we have to enter, right? So I'll try to create a customer from UI first. Click on create customer. And now here, if you observe, the first one is a name, right? So I'll just say ITC India. And registry ID is nothing but a party number. Okay. And the next one is account number. You can have an account description. And the remaining set of non-mandatory fields I'm not entering. The other one is account address set, right? Nothing but like in which BU you want to use this particular account. So based on that, you have to mention the appropriate address set, right? And site number is auto-generated, so we can just ignore that. Site name. And the next one is mention the purpose of this particular address, the site I mean to say. So if at all, if you want to use it for the AR invoice, definitely you require a bill to, right? So I just, as of now, I just consider the bill to one and click on save and close. So now the customer will be created and it has a party, account, account site, and account site use also, right? So that's a basic functionality or a basic requirement when you want to create a customer, which are like we have to enter a mandatory field so that you can create entity in all the levels. Similarly, now let us say if I want to go with a similar approach in our spreadsheet file, what all we have to enter. So let me show you the sample, which I already did it, but we'll try to enter now. The first one is like a source system, but how do I know which is my source system, right? So for that particular purpose, what I've done is in my slide, so I mentioned the list of tasks which are generally required, right? So let me show you that first. So these are some of the important tasks which may help out for you to understand the major things which you generally require. So now to understand the source system, you have to check out the main age trading community source system. From there, you can find out what are the list of source system which are applicable in your instance, right? So when you're working with a client environment, so you may need to require some new source system based on your requirement, or you can use the existing source system in the initial stage. But later on, make sure that you have to create your custom source system. Better use that accordingly. Now coming to our sample, so I'll go with the CSV source system which is already defined. Now when you're creating a customer here using simplified approach, you have to mandatorily mention the customer number. But when you're creating a customer in the UI, it generates an auto sequence number. We don't have any control on that. It simply generates an auto sequence number. So you cannot mention something like a prefix and a suffix kind of option. That option is not there. So I'll just say Aura, this one. Okay. I'll say a customer name Tata Online Trainings. And I mention my account number like a 7123. And the account description, establishment date, which are not mandatory. I'm not preferring to enter at all. If at all, if you have requirement, you can mention them. Customer profile class, and also I'm ignoring it. Let's say, and I'll say site number S1 and BU set. I want to go with the same BU set, right? And location, I'll say LOC. So here there are some set of important, very other important fields generally called like a reference field. So here if you observe, which are generally hidden here if you observe, right? So here don't enter anything here. You can just ignore. You can also ignore this one, right? Okay. So now first customer source reference, I'm not entering anything. So what will happen is whatever the number you mentioned that will get generated. But what is this is all about? So once we insert the data, you can easily understand. Okay. So for now, I'll just ignore and we'll try to understand from the UI itself, right? So location, we mentioned the location reference also, and address line will go the same thing. And here this set of fields which are not really mandatory or which does not have much issue. So I'll just try to copy them because this can be have like you can have same address, right? There is no problem with that. A different customer can also have same address. See the same thing. Yeah, there is one more very important one. Okay, so make sure this is unique. This record should be unique. This value should be unique within a table. So I'm following a particular sequence here. So here, if you observe, based on my account number, I'm following like the remaining set of fields. So based on the requirement, you have to generally generate a proper sequencing way so that you'll not have any issue while creating them. Okay, so let me copy it again. Okay, so I'll go with site one, site purpose reference, and build. So I'll just say this payment method. And if at all, if you want to mention some DFA values, you can mention that, and remaining you can ignore. Okay. Now this is all about the first sheet, right? So I'll just remove the existing data, and this is my information for the customer. So the other sheets like a contacts, reference account, and customer bank account. So as of now, I'm not concentrating on them, but we'll just try to understand only the first sheet for now. So I'll click on generate CSV file. So it will generate a zip file. Now in my system, it is already there. So I'll just delete that existing one. And now I'll simply click on save it. So it will generate a zip file. And in that zip file, you will have only one CSV file. Let us see that also, right? So you can just extract this one. Okay, and you can see here, open with Notepad, and you can see that, right? So it generated a particular file. So always like when you're getting some different set of errors, like when your data file is having any special characters or a new line characters, always try to open your CSV in this kind of a Notepad tools and try to understand is there any issue in your data, right? Some set of in some scenarios there are chances when you load the data, you may get your data get rejected, but you're not sure what could be the reason, right? In those scenarios, better open the data file using your CSV and try to understand is there any variation in the data. By that, you can easily understand the error also. Okay. Now our zip file got generated. The next step, what we do is go to manage a customer uploads, and here upload customers from spreadsheet. So maintain appropriate batch name so that you can easily identify, right? So I already loaded 5 batches, so I prefer to mention the sequence like this, batch 006, and choose the zip file which we generated just now. Click on open and submit. So this step will generate an ESS job. Let us see that also, right? I'll just duplicate this one. So we can monitor the ESS job so that we can understand what is the progress of our particular load. So that may help out to identify if any bugs which we come across. Okay, it seems the page is having issue. Let's try it. Generally, it takes around 5 minutes to finish the load. So let's try. I can just do a refresh here. It's still loading. I click on tools, schedule processes. Okay, seems still it is having issue. That's okay. So now just try to monitor this one. Okay, it is still taking time, right? So you can just see the status process pending. Now let me click on done here, and I want to show you one more thing. So in the same receivables billing, so click on the task list. And here there is one more important thing called manage data import. What we have done, we have uploaded the data using upload customer from spreadsheet. But there is one more important thing called manage data import. This will provide you the detailed information of your batch. So now we uploaded the batch using other particular screen, but here it provides some more extra information. So it's like a 2 pages which we have to navigate to understand the progress of our program, our data. Click on this batch ID and you can see like what is happening to our data. Like these are the different set of entities which the data like customer spreadsheet supports, and it may take some more time. Okay, so time being, let me explain some more important things. Like we have seen the steps, and generally when you run a job, so here if you observe, when you run a job, there is an ESS job called upload customers will get run, and then the load file will be run, which loads the data from the CSV file into the database table. And after that, it'll run a job called submit automated bulk import. And once the upload customer is completed, then the job gets completed. Okay. So you can just always monitor this upload customer job. And how do you get the process ID? And from here, you can see the above screen in the batch, the upload batch where you upload that, so right, it will have the batch ID. Okay, from there you can get that. Now, so this we already discussed, and yeah, so the list of interface table or error table. So we have already seen that the spreadsheet has 4 sheets, and in that each sheet belongs to a appropriate interface table and also respective error table. Always when you're trying to when you're facing any difficulty in understanding the error, right, the best approach is get the data from the error table and try to find out what is the root cause behind it. Okay, that's the reason I always meant like generally I prefer to get the data like when you're dealing with the bulk data, right? Let us say generally in some of the like when you work in a real project, what may happen is you may have around 10,000 or 50,000 or 20,000 kind of customers, right? So even one record fail is very difficult for your customer to perform a reconciliation, right? So what we have to do is just make a note of this particular tables, the interface table, which will have the status about your particular customer entity, and based on that you can get the information from the respective error table. Okay, so these are the interface table, and the next one is the error table. And similarly, the base tables, which are very much important for the reconciliation purpose, like to understand whether your apples are loaded as apples or as a different. Just try to compare your source data with the target data. So these are some of the base tables which are respective to the customers. Okay, now, and other thing is like here, if you observe account address set, while loading the account address set, I just mentioned US1 BU set. But in your real-time requirement, if at all, if you want to find out what is the address set you have to mention for a particular BU, we can just make a note of this particular query. Using this, you can just find out which address set you have to mention for which BU you are loading it. Okay. Now let's navigate back to instance if it's completed or not. Okay, good. So now here, if you observe, I have loaded a single record, but it says the total records as 9. Why does it say? Let us click on this batch ID to understand that. So here, if you observe the account, the first one, like it's starting with a naming like alphabetical order. Account got created, one record inserted. And similarly, account site, one insert. Account site use, one insert. And just scroll down and you can see customer profile, one insert. Customer receipt method, one insert. And the other one, location, party site, and party site use. So nothing but for a single insertion, it has completed 9 records insertion into 9 different entities. Okay. So this will help out in the recon again. I'm concentrating on that part because when you're dealing with data migration, it's not just import, it's just not insertion. You have to perform the reconciliation so that the customer will get satisfied with what you loaded is correct. And the further the transactions will not fail. Okay. Now let us validate from the UI also, right? So now let us find out what is our customer number we mentioned here. So we'll just search this one. Registry ID is nothing but our party number. Click on this. Right? So like registry ID and this one and all these things we are able to see, but where is that source reference, right? What you do is just click on view, columns, show all. Yes, here comes your source reference, right? Now, why it is showing comma separated? Nothing but CSV is a code and CS comma separated values is the meaning. So click on this particular icon. It shows the source name also, right? A CSV and the source reference also it will show. And account level also you can see this. click on view, columns, show all. Okay. The original reference is this one. In our case, we have not mentioned what was the source reference for the account number. So that's why the same number, the same account number is generated as a reference number. And similarly for the customer also, we have not mentioned any source reference. What happened? Whatever the number we mentioned for the party number is generated as same for the source reference, right? So you can observe that. Okay, the same number is generated as a reference. In some projects, you may have a different requirement, like you want to mention the legacy source reference is different, as well as the fusion generation. I mean, the fusion number you want to have a different. So based on the requirement, you have to mention the appropriate one. Okay, so make sure that like this decision has to be taken carefully before performing import, because let us say initially you have not considered reference, later you want to consider reference. These kind of things will not work. It is very difficult to work with these kind of issues, right? So better when you really start, when you're doing an import, make sure that all the decisions regarding to each and every column has to be taken in a very careful manner, because the correction is very difficult in this one. Okay, so and if you want to purge any data, right? As of now, we have seen how do we upload, right? And let us say if you want to purge any data, I mean to say purge means like you can't delete any customer, but what's the purge which I'm talking all about? Nothing but let us say you uploaded some data, and now like the insertion was not successful, it failed. So generally what is the best option is like just don't try to generally what we do is we just correct the data and try to upload, right? So before upload, what you do is the earlier batch whichever you have loaded, make sure that you purge it. I mean to say, now I'll click on here and you click on purge. Okay, so the purge option is provided in this particular screen, not in the other screen. The other screen which we use for upload, there you don't have any purge option. What you have to do is you have to navigate to manage data import batches, and then you have to select the appropriate record and click on purge. So this will clear the data from the interface table. So that what will happen is like when the re-import again happens, it will have a clear data in the interface table, so that it will not have any issue. Okay, so that is what all about purge. If at all, if you want to correct any data, now let us say as of now, to correct any data, what you have to do is click on this particular task list, upload customers from spreadsheet, and now click on search. It shows a list of batches which are already uploaded. In our case, we don't have any failure in our batch 6, but let us say, assume that like in the scenario which you are working on, you got some issue and you want to correct that particular data. So what you can do is just click on that particular batch, and here you can click on this particular unsuccessful record. So once you click on this one, it downloads an ADFDI file, right? Just click on this one, an XLX file, I mean to say. So it's nothing but an ADFDI file. So enable editing. Okay, make sure that you have the ADFDI is installed. So I'll try to log in here. So this is my login. And this particular correction sheet also will help out to find, let us say you have a few set of records which you want to correct it rather than performing import. You can just download the ADFDI file, and using this particular functionality, you can correct the data and you can perform import from here also, right? So now it shows list of errors, and maybe if it is already purged, it may not show any data because, yeah, let me try here. Sorry. Click on the customer sheet, right? So each particular one. Yeah. So here, if you observe, it says like one set of the value is wrong, and it says this error. Now, based on the error, what you have to do is just try to correct it. Now, let us say the value of type house must be defined, right? So maybe there is some column called house. Yeah, this one. So this is incorrect. So what you do is just remove the value and then perform upload. Right? Data is inserted now. It just inserted, but it has not performed submit, right? Now click on submit. So this step will submit the batch again, right? So again, based on the status, like you can just refresh and try to find out what is happening to that batch, right? Can you see there is a progress on this batch? So this is how we can correct the existing data in the upload customer spreadsheet. Okay. Now, so we have discussed most of the things which we are intended for this. Yeah, other important one, when you're dealing with a party number kind of logic, right? So these are 3 important profile values. Just check it out. So this may help out in you like considering the profile value which you want to mention for your particular data, right? So there are 3 profile values: party number, customer number, and site number. Okay. So this is a plugin which is required. So the plugin will be available in the tools section. The tools, download the desktop integrator. So using this particular tool, we can correct the data, as well as let us say when you're trying to upload, let us say you have some extra record which is not required to import it, right? Let us say you uploaded it and there are 5 records. Assume that you have 5 records which are getting failed, but out of those 5 records, there is one record which is not at all required to be inserted, right? You can just select it and you can, there is a purge option somewhere. You can just search that. Yeah, purge record, right? Just mention why. So what will happen is this will get deleted from the interface table. It will get deleted from the interface table so that the remaining 4 records which you want to insert, that will get inserted and this will get deleted. So this is how we can exclude the content from your interface table also. This is one of the options which you have it in the using ATFDI. Okay. So this is all about the simplified approach in Oracle Fusion. So these are some of the very important meta link notes. You can just refer them, which will help out for some more detailed understanding. Thank you all.